is Rachel in Boston. What would you say is the long-term vision for her campus? I mean, are you trying to have more campuses, more in-depth coverage on campus? Is there like a numeric goal of readership you're trying to achieve, or just to continue growing?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue growing. Our goals right now, so our goal for 2010 was to get to 100 schools. We broke out, we're at 110 schools, and our goal for this year is to get to 250 schools and 500,000 monthly unique users. I think that that's an attainable goal. It's, you know, with any blog, it's really important to have goals and to say, like, this is where I want to go. If for no other reason, then when you achieve them, you get really excited. Blogging is such a personal act, and writing a website is such a personal act. There's no one telling me I have to do this. There's no one coming in and every day and saying, did you do a blog post today? Did you write today? You know, did you have a good idea today? And because of that, there's also no one saying, like, wow, you did a really good job. Like, you hit your goals. You know, did well. So because of that, you have to create your own goals and your own metrics for success. So. Okay, any other questions?
Windsor, this is Lindsay. I'd be curious to hear what keeps you up at night. You know, what are the things that as you're continuing to grow, you and your team are continuing to grow her campus, like what are the things you worry about or that you think the most about as an entrepreneur?
So as an entrepreneur, personally, so I'm on the money side of the business. I handle all of our business development, I handle all of our advertising, and so what keeps me up at night is worrying about whether we're going to be able to pay everybody. You know, right now we've got just a few people. It's the three of us pull very meager salaries, and then we have a managing editor who gets a stipend as well. And you know, that's my main concern. It's am I going to be able to pull this through? Am I going to be able to get enough deals going through that are going to do well enough? Because it's not enough just to sell something to a marketing partner. You have to execute. You have to do a good job. Your readers have to like it and have to respond. And then they have, you know, the person has to be happy if they're going to work with you again. And a lot of those things are kind of out of my control. I can do what I think my readers are going to like and what I think my readers are going to respond to, but I don't know if they actually are. And if they don't, and if the advertiser's not happy and they don't come back again, that could make it more difficult to hit my sales goals for the next month. So that's what keeps me up at night, and that's probably the that is the downside of being an entrepreneur, is that there isn't a lot of stability and a lot of safety when it comes to money. I mean, I guess you could argue that, you know, in the job market there's not either until you land a really good job, and then even then you could get laid off. But at the same time, if you have a job and you have a bad day, you're just off, you just feel bad, you're just tired, lethargic, and you just can't focus, well, that stinks, and maybe your supervisor's going to get mad at you. But if I have a bad day and I'm lethargic and can't focus and can't get anything done, that could seriously impact my business and seriously impact my ability to pay a credit card bill, for example. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, and that's what keeps me up at night.
That all seems very reasonable.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Lindsay, this is Megan in our headquarters office. You mentioned at the very beginning one of the most important things was to make sure that your information doesn't become static or stale. How often do you update the page, and what do you think is a good target to aim for?
Hi, I got disconnected for a second. So was that the last question?
No, we have one more.
Okay, sorry. I was like gone for a minute, but now I'm back.
No problem. This is Megan in our headquarters office. I have a quick question just about frequency of updating the site. You mentioned at the beginning that that was one of the most important things to make sure your information isn't stale. So just curious how often you update. What do you think is a good target for that?
So I think you need to, on the internet, you need to update daily. And if that seems overwhelming, think of different ways to update. Maybe there isn't a new program launching every day, and so maybe you don't need to do some huge posts, but maybe you should start doing profiles of volunteers that are really amazing and doing really good jobs, or maybe you should start, talking about past programs that you've done and what you learned from them. A post can be short, but I think that people are going to judge how active your organization is and how active you are by the volume of content that's on your site. And so if you have a daily post, even if it's not announcing something huge, it doesn't need to be. It should just be something relevant to what Strong Women, Strong Girls is doing. Yeah, I think that updating once a day is a really good target to shoot for.
Windsor, building off of that, how do you integrate other social media into your work with Her Campus? So you're clearly generating a ton of content on your site. What role does Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter play in your work?
So we created a Her Campus person on Facebook as well as a Her Campus page, and we interact with both of those in different ways. I think that it's important to use social media and to use Facebook specifically to upload pictures. People use Facebook to procrastinate, and they like stalking the pictures of their friends. Well, if you have an organization, they're also going to want to look at the pictures of your organization. So I think that social media is really important if you want to post pictures of all of your events. It's a great way to keep track of them. It's a great way to have them all up there, and it's virtually unlimited. We also use Twitter to announce new content, to have discussions with people, actually, because a lot of times people would be like, hey, Her Campus, you heard about this, and send us a link via Twitter. And it's a way that people respond back to us a lot. So we have a Twitter account for Her Campus, and also each of our branches has a Twitter account. We looked at Dig, and we looked at Reddit and some of the other more peripheral social media sites, but those weren't as good of a match for our audience. So you have to think about, what are the social media sites that your audience is using. And for us, that was Twitter and Facebook.
Are there any final questions?
I have one more quick question, sorry. This is Megan again. In thinking about looking at the part of the website that you can purchase different gear, I'm just curious about how that works logistically. Do you manage all of that in-house, and do you buy in bulk and then store it somewhere, or?
Sure. So on the website, we actually use a site called Shopify. It's Shopify, Shopify.com, and it gets more expensive the more complicated you want it to be. For example, like if you want to track how many people are going to Shopify.com to your Shopify shop and where they're coming from, and have that ability, and also to use like UPS or FedEx directly through Shopify, it's like $100 a month. For us, it's $50 a month, and that allows us to have as many products as we would ever reasonably need in the shop, and also to do discount codes. So we have discount codes for our team. But that they handle like the e-commerce side and all the shipping. But as far as sending out the T-shirts, yeah, we actually do that here in the office. We have interns in here that are awesome, and they fulfill the orders. Basically, well, whenever we get them, we make sure to send it out as soon as we get it in. But as far as ordering in bulk, it's hard when you don't have a huge budget, and also you don't know what products are going to sell well, and also when you're trying to find a new distributor to figure out who to order from. So we generally start ordering about 50 of each item, because there's usually a cutoff right around 50 where they get substantially cheaper, and order those, and then just cross our fingers that they're going to sell. People generally don't mind paying for shipping costs when they order things from you. Our shipping is $3.99. It was $2.99, but in $3.99, it hasn't affected, how many people are placing orders at all. And then we just make sure to keep tabs and keep inventory, because the last thing you want, and that's just in a spreadsheet, the last thing you want is for someone to order something from you and for it to be out and for them to have to wait like 3 weeks before you get in your next order. I think also for you guys, being a nonprofit, I think that you could probably work some sort of deal with Custom Ink or something where you could say, like, hey, why don't you sponsor our T-shirts if you need that, and see if they would print, you know, like you could have them listed as one of your sponsors on your website or something, and they could probably get a tax write-off for that. So I wouldn't be afraid to ask for that either, because we asked for, from our first few T-shirt companies we worked with, we said, hey, we'll trade you some ads for T-shirts, and they said, okay. It's pretty easy for them. So, yeah.